Hi students, welcome back to computer class. So in our last class we started chapter number 4, more on Scratch. Okay, in this chapter we studied what do you mean by a script, what do you mean by a sprite, okay, then which are the 4 methods that we can use to add a new sprite onto the stage. Okay, first method was choosing the sprite from the library. Second one was painting a new sprite. Third one is uploading the sprite from the file. And fourth one is new sprite that could be taken from the camera. Okay, so this is where we entered our class in our last week. Okay, so today continuing with our chapter. So students, all of you now know how to add a new sprite onto the stage. Okay, you have studied the 4 methods. Now let us see how to work with multiple sprites or how to create a project by using multiple sprites. Okay, so the first thing that you should keep in mind for working with multiple sprites is that you have to create separate script for each sprite. Okay, for making a project using multiple scripts, you have to create a separate script for each sprite. Okay, for each sprite you have to create separate script. This is the first point that you have to keep in mind while you are working with multiple sprite. And now let us see the steps of how to work with multiple sprites. Students, in your textbook, take page number 64. Okay, and while I am explaining all the steps, you should look on to the textbook. Okay, in textbook, in page number 64, under the topic working with multiple sprites, look at the first point. First point is given for opening Scratch. Okay, step number 1, you have to open the Scratch. After opening Scratch, you have to add any 3 sprites according to your choice onto the stage. Okay, you have studied the different methods of how to add the sprite. Okay, by using any of those method, you have to add 3 sprites of your choice onto the stage. Now look at figure 6.8. Over this particular stage, we know that a cat sprite is a default one. Okay, so a cat sprite will be already present. And now we have added a butterfly sprite from the library and also a smiley sprite that is being painted by using the paint editor. Okay, so these are the 3 sprites that are being presented over this stage. Okay, so what you have to do is that you have to drag and place the sprites at their correct position over the stage. That is the first step. Okay, step number 1 is first you have to open the Scratch and you have to add any 3 sprites according to your choice onto the stage. Okay, and in figure 6.8 we can see an example. Okay, in that particular example we can see a default cat sprite and a butterfly sprite that has been downloaded from our library, and a smiley sprite that has been painted by using the paint editor. Okay, so these are the 3 sprites that are being added over to the stage, and you have to drag and place the sprites in their correct positions. This is step number 1. Step number 2 is you have to click on each sprite in order to create their script. Okay, each time you select a particular sprite, a separate script area will appear for each one of them. Okay, so for 3 different types of sprite, 3 separate script areas are present. Okay, so second step is you have to first click on each sprite in order to create or in order to write their script. And also understand that for 3 different types of sprites, separate 3 script areas are present. For example, look at figure 6.9a. If you are clicking on the cat sprite, the script area for the cat sprite will appear like what you see in figure 6.9a. If you are clicking on painted sprite, a separate script area will appear for that painted sprite, like what you see in figure 6.9b. Okay, and if you're clicking on butterfly sprite, a separate script area will appear for butterfly sprite, like what you see in figure 6.9c. Okay, so for three different types of sprite, separate three script areas are present. Okay, so step number 2 is you have to first click on each sprite in order to write. 3 is now you have to click on all the three scripts by selecting each sprite respectively. Okay, and the sprites, they will perform the activity or they will perform the action according to the script that is being given for each sprite. Okay, so step number 3 is you have to click on all the three scripts by selecting each sprite respectively. Okay, and the sprites, they will perform all the activities or the actions that is being given to them according to the script. Okay, and last step is, if you want to stop running the scripts, you have to press the red stop button. Okay, so last step is, if you want to stop running the script, you have to press the red stop button. Okay, so students, these are the 4 steps that you have to follow in order to work with the project that consists of multiple sprites. Step number 1 is you have to open Scratch, and then you have to add any 3 sprites according to your choice. Okay, and step number 2 is you have to click on the sprites in order to create their script. Okay, for 3 different sprites, 3 different or 3 separate script areas are present. And step number 3, you have to click on all these 3 sprites by selecting each sprite respectively. Okay, and the sprites, they will perform the actions according to the script that is being provided to them. Okay, and step number 4, you have to press the red stop button if you want to stop running this script. Okay, and next let us study about what we mean by backdrop. Okay, every time you open the Scratch editor window, the first thing that you will see on the blank white stage is a cat sprite. Okay, whenever you open the Scratch editor window, each time you will be seeing a cat sprite on the blank white stage. Okay, and this blank white area on the stage, this is what we mean by backdrop. Okay, backdrop means the blank white area on the stage is known as backdrop. And we can say that a backdrop is similar to a background. Okay, just like you add sprites onto the stage, you can add a backdrop also onto the stage. Okay, you have seen the 4 steps of how to add sprites onto the stage. Similarly, you can add a backdrop onto the stage by using 4 different methods. Okay, so students, the blank white area that you see in this picture, that is what we mean by backdrop. Okay, once again, backdrop means the blank white area on the stage. And now let us see which are the steps or the methods through which we can add backdrop onto the stage. Okay, in this picture you can see there is the first thing that you see is a stage button. Okay, if you're clicking on that button, you will be able to select the backdrop. Okay, and below this stage button, see, there is a section known as new backdrop section. Okay, and over this new backdrop section, 4 buttons are being given. Okay, and you can use these 4 buttons as 4 different separate methods in order to add a new backdrop onto the stage. Okay, so once again, in order to add a new backdrop onto the stage, first thing is that, see, at the top what you see is the stage button. You can click on that particular stage button in order to select a backdrop. Okay, or else, see, at the bottom of the stage button, a new backdrop section is being provided, and there are 4 buttons which are being given over the new backdrop section. You can click on each of this button in order to add a new backdrop onto the stage. Okay, and now let us see in detail which are these 4 different buttons which are present under the new backdrop section. The first button which has been present under the new backdrop section is for choosing the backdrop from the library. Okay, the first button that you see over the new backdrop section, it is being used for choosing the backdrop from the library. So students, the first button that has been provided over the new backdrop section, it is for choosing the backdrop from the library. Okay, so first what you have to do is you have to click on that particular button. Okay, and the backdrop library window will appear. Students, what you see in this picture is the backdrop library window. Okay, and you can see there are many options that are being provided over this window. You can choose any one backdrop from the window and you have to click on it. Okay, and at last you have to click on the OK button, which is present at the bottom right corner of this particular window, and the backdrop will automatically appear on the stage. Finally, see, a backdrop is been automatically appearing on the stage. Okay, so this is how you can add a new backdrop onto the stage by using the first button. Okay, first button, it has been provided for choosing the backdrop from library. Okay, now moving on to the second method, or the second button, it is used for painting the new backdrop. Okay, and now let us see how we can paint a new backdrop. So students, the second button, it is being provided for painting the new backdrop. If you are clicking on this particular button, a backdrop tab will open with paint editor tools. Okay, and you can use these tools which are provided in the paint editor in order to paint a new backdrop. Students, all the 4 methods, they are similar to what we have studied. The 4 methods for adding a sprite. Okay. So once again, second button, it has been provided for painting new backdrop, and if you are clicking on this particular button, a paint editor window will appear with painting tools. Okay, you can use these tools in order for painting a new backdrop. Okay. Now moving on to the third method, it is used for uploading the backdrop from the file. Okay, and if you are clicking on the third button, you will be able to locate an image from the computer and you will be able to use that particular image as a backdrop. Okay, so third method or third button, it has been provided for uploading the backdrop from the file. If you are clicking on this particular button, you will be able to locate a particular image from the computer and you will be able to use this image as a backdrop. Okay, that is the third method, or that is the use of third button. And finally, the last button, it is used for choosing a new backdrop from the camera. Okay, if you are clicking on that particular fourth button, you will be able to click an image using the camera that has been provided in your system. Okay, and you can add that particular image as a backdrop. Okay, so this is the fourth button. Fourth button, it is being provided for adding a new backdrop by using the camera of your system. Okay, so students, these are the 4 methods, or these are the usage of the 4 buttons which are provided at the new backdrop section. Okay, first button, it is being used for choosing the backdrop from the library. Second one is used for painting the new backdrop. Third one is used for uploading the backdrop from the file, and fourth button, it is being provided for choosing a new backdrop from the camera. Okay, as you can see, all these 4 methods are similar to how you added the sprites using the 4 different methods. Okay, so both of them, that is for adding a new backdrop onto the stage and also for adding the sprites onto the stage, we use the same 4 methods. Okay, now let us move on to the next topic. Now let us study how to work with multiple backdrops. Beforehand, we have studied the four steps of how to work with multiple sprites. Can you see the steps that we have to follow in order to work with multiple sprites? Step number 1 is you have to add any 3 sprites of our choice onto the stage. Okay. Then we will be writing script for each of these 3 sprites, and we have studied that for each sprite there is a separate script area present. Okay, over this separate script area we will be writing the script for these 3 sprites. Okay, then we have to click on these 3 sprites in order for them to perform. Okay, and all these 3 sprites, they will perform all together on the stage as per the script that we have given. Okay, and if you want to stop running the script, you have to at last press on the red stop button. Okay, these are the 4 steps that we have to follow in order to work with multiple sprites. Similarly, we can work with multiple backdrops also. Okay, so in order to work with multiple backdrops, we have to write script or we have to create scripts. Okay, so the first thing that you have to keep in mind is that for writing the script for a backdrop, we use the same script area that is being provided for sprite. Okay, and the only difference is that when you select a backdrop from the list, its script area will be visible and the script area for the sprite will get hidden. Okay, the script area for the sprite will appear when you select it. Okay, so the first thing that you have to keep in mind is that for writing the script for a backdrop, it uses the same script area that is being provided for sprite. Okay, and the only difference is that when you select a backdrop from the list, the script area will be visible for the backdrop and the script area for the sprite will get hidden. Okay, the script area for the sprite will appear only when you click on that particular sprite. Okay, so this is the first thing that you have to keep in mind. And now let us make a project in which you can create a script for a sprite as well as for a backdrop. Okay, so for that you have in your textbook you have T7. Okay, so while I am reading the steps, you should read along with me. Okay, all the 4 steps that we have to follow in order to work with the multiple backdrop. Okay, so students, in your textbook you have to take page number 67. Okay, and you have to move on through what I am reading. Okay, step number 1 is you have to click on the cat sprite and you have to create a script for it, like what you see in figure 6.15. Okay, that is the first step. Okay, step number 1 is you have to click on the cat sprite and you have to write a script for the cat sprite, like what you see in figure 6.15. Okay, 6.15 figure shows the script for cat sprite. Okay, and second step is you have to click on the stage button in order to select the backdrop. Click on the backdrop tab. Okay, and then you have to right click on the white plain backdrop and delete it from the list. Now only 2 backdrops will remain under the backdrop tab. Okay, first one is the one that you have uploaded from the Scratch library and the other one is the one that you have painted in the paint editor. Okay, so second step is you have to click on the stage button in order to select the backdrop. Now look at figure 6.16. Once you click on the stage button in order to select the backdrop, like what you see in figure 6.16, the backdrop tab will appear. Okay, and you can see in backdrop tab there are 3 pictures provided. The first picture is a plain picture. Okay, you have to right click on that particular white plain backdrop and you have to delete it. Okay, and now what remains is only 2 backdrops. Okay, first backdrop is the one that you have uploaded from the Scratch library and the second one is the one that you have painted in the paint editor. Okay, this is the second step that you have to follow. Third step is you have to click on the script tab and create the script for backdrop. Okay, and fourth step is when you create the script for the backdrop, the motion block menu list will be empty. This is because you cannot move the backdrop anywhere on the stage. You can create the script using other blocks from the block palette. To create a script for the backdrop, drag and drop the blocks on the script area, like what you see in figure 6.17. Okay, figure 6.17 shows the script area that you have to write for backdrop. What step number 4 says is that you can, while you are writing the script for a backdrop, the motion block menu list will remain empty. This is because we know that backdrop is just a picture that will remain steady over the stage. We cannot move backdrop over the stage like we move sprites over the stage. Okay, backdrop is said to be just a image that remains steady over the stage. We cannot move backdrop over the stage like we move sprites. Okay, that is why the motion block menu list will remain empty. And fourth step also says that you can create the script using other blocks from the block palette. Okay, for that you have to drag and drop the blocks over the script area. Okay, this is what the fourth step says. And moving on to the fifth step is that you will observe that the name of the block changes when you create a script for the backdrop. For example, the new costume block in the looks block menu changes to next backdrop. Okay, so what fifth step says is that the name of the block will change while you are writing the script for the backdrop. Okay, this is what fifth step says. Okay, while you are writing the script for backdrop, the name of the blocks will change. Okay, and the last step is, once you have created the script for the cat sprite and the backdrop, you have to click on both the script in order to run them. Okay, and now you will be able to see that the cat sprite moves from one backdrop to another. Okay, this is the final result that you will see. So sixth step says that once you have created the script for the cat sprite as well as for the backdrop, you have to click on both the script in order to run the sprite as well as the backdrop. Okay, and finally what you will see is that you will be able to see that the cat sprite will keep on moving through the backdrop from one end to the another. Okay, like what you see in figure 6.18. Okay, this figure 6.18 shows the final result, that the cat is moving from one end of the backdrop to the other end of the backdrop. Okay, so these are the steps that you have to follow in order to work with multiple backdrop. First step is you have to click on the cat sprite and you have to write a script for the cat sprite, like what you see in figure 6.15. Okay, figure 6.15, it shows the script for the sprite. Okay, then second step is you will have to click on the stage button in order to select the backdrop. Okay, and like what you see in figure 6.16, you will be able to see the backdrop tabs. Okay, and over the backdrop that is being provided is a white plain backdrop. You have to right click on that white plain backdrop and delete it. Okay, now we have only two backdrops that remain over the backdrop tab. Okay, first one is the one that you have uploaded from the Scratch library, and the second one is that you have painted in the paint editor. Okay, and third step is you have to click on the script tab in order to create the script for backdrop. And fourth step is once you write the script for the backdrop, the motion block menu list will remain empty. This is because we know that backdrop is just an image that remains steady over the stage. We cannot move the backdrop from one end over to the other. Okay, that is why the motion block menu list remains empty. Okay, and you can create the script using the other blocks that are present in the blocks palette. Okay, for that you have to drag and drop the blocks over the script area. Okay, the fifth step is you can see that while you are writing the script for the backdrop, the name of the blocks will change. For example, the new costume block in the looks block menu will change to the next backdrop. Okay, that is fifth step. And the last step is that once you have created the script for the cat sprite as well as for the backdrop, you have to click on both the script in order to run them. Okay, and finally you can see, like what you see in figure 6.18, that the cat sprite will move from one backdrop to another. Okay, this is the steps that you have to follow that for working with multiple backdrops. So students, with this we come to end of today's class. Thank you.